What if you had the opportunity to go back in time and buy Meta stock, Amazon stock, Google, Apple, Microsoft, when those companies were much smaller, but it was obvious they were going to be the next massive companies, way before they reached a $1.2 trillion market cap, a $1.7 trillion market cap, a $1.8 trillion, a $1.8 trillion, a $2.8 trillion, a $3 trillion. What if you could go back in time and buy those companies for, let's say, a $100 billion market cap? We've got one of those rare situations in this market where it's very obvious there's a stock that is going to be a $1 trillion company in the future, and its company's name is Shopify. It is very obvious to me at this point in time this company is destined to be a $1 trillion company in the future, and its market capitalization as of today is around $100 billion, we can call it. That means I believe the stock is going to 10x or more over the long term here. And when I look at a company like this, I see a company that every dip needs to be bought in the stock for years to go in the future. Not the next few weeks, not the next few months. I'm talking for the next many years, okay? Now, this is a stock I already have a position in the Patreon portfolio. It's my 11th biggest position, but it's very obvious that I need to build my position in the Patreon portfolio with Shopify considerably bigger than where it is right now. It is a stock I do not own currently in the big dog account, the public account, and available in my private stock group, right? That portfolio is now well over $2 million. And it is very obvious I need this stock. When I think about my Mag 6, my big six, right? Meta, Tesla, PayPal, Amazon, Elf, and Palantir, those companies are set up so well for the next 5 to 10 years, just like a Shopify is, right? And so we're about to get in depth on Shopify here. This is a Shopify dedicated video, but this will be a $1 trillion plus company. And to me, at this point in time, there's no stopping it. There's absolutely no stopping it, okay? Alrighty, folks. So I spent quite a bit of time preparing this video. I even have projections for you guys that go out over the next many years that I'm going to be sharing with you. So a lot of work went into this video here today. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get a lot of value out of it. All I ask in return is that you smash that like button and you make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We just hit a new all-time high subscribers on the history of this channel, so I appreciate each and every one of you. That's all I ask in return. If you're looking to apply to join myself and my group of super investors, that's going to be pinned comment down there to fill out an application and join us in there. If you want to join the Patreon and see the moves I'm making in there and things like that, that's just available to join, and that will be one of the pinned comments as well. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's dive in to Shopify. Here we go. Alrighty, so Shopify. I mean, you think about Shopify, like what your mental image should go to is I need to set up a store to, I don't know, sell hats for my clothing brand, right? Or I need to sell coffee mugs, or I need to sell my art, or whatever it is, right? There's a billion different things that you need to set up a Shopify store for. But that's like the base level that's how Shopify makes money. But they make money from so many other things than just that. And you're going to find that out over the course of this video, that this is a whole ecosystem of ways that Shopify can make money, very similar to a company like, let's say, Apple, for instance, right? You may think of Apple as just an iPhone company, but it is so much more. They make money from services. They make money from iPads and Macs and so many different business lines, right? Very similar to Shopify. This is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Shopify. Very similar to Amazon. Amazon, you think e-commerce. Oh, what if I told you there's a business inside Amazon that's much more powerful than the e-commerce business called AWS, right? So Shopify, you can obviously get started with a free trial with their service, but a lot of people are signed up for their basic tier, which is basically $29 a month, right? So you have a small business, you pay Shopify a minimum of $29 a month every single month, right? And they have this plan, which is for small teams, which is $79 a month. And then they have their advanced plan, which is $299 a month. Now we're talking about that's $3,600 a year, right? Now, on top of that, they also have a retail plan. They also have Shopify Plus, which is $2,300 a month. This is for more like baller businesses, more like mid-sized businesses, or even large companies, right? Enterprise commerce, this is for big dog companies, and those are all custom plans that, you could be paying tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars a month to Shopify overall. But most people think about it in terms of this business where they generate, let's call it $29 a month from their users and things like that, right? Now, their latest earnings just came out here in the past, we can call it 48 hours or so. And I looked at their income statement. That was a grade A income statement. Subscription solutions was up to $525 million from $400 million. Merchant solutions, this is just for the latest quarter, by the way, over $1.6 billion now versus $1.3 billion in the same quarter last year, $2.1 billion in revenue versus $1.7. They dropped Subscription Solutions was hardly up for the company year over year. Merchant Solutions was also hardly up for the company, considering how much revenue was up. So gross profit exploded to the company to over $1 billion in gross profit for the company in a 3-month span. It's incredible. Sales and marketing was up, but they kept that very in line. Research and development, they were able to drop that quite a bit year over year to $311 million. G&A was, in a great place compared to last year, I can tell you that much. Total operating expenses dropped substantially for the company. So if I tell you gross profit went up substantially for a company, and then I told you operating expenses went down substantially, you should say profitability exploded, and that's exactly what we saw in Shopify overall. Net income went to $657 million in its latest quarter. Diluted EPS went to 51 cents. Shopify, great. The balance sheet, A-plus balance sheet on this company. Check this out. They have about $5 billion in marketable securities and cash equivalents. They have $6.2 billion in total current assets. That's versus total current liabilities of less than $1 billion. It's incredible. It's one of the best. This is literally one of the best balance sheets you'll ever see for a company. Total assets on this company, about $11.3 billion. That's versus $1.3 billion in total liabilities. So just ridiculous numbers. I mean, absolutely startlingly ridiculous numbers. That's an A-plus balance sheet. It doesn't get better than that. What I'm showing you right there, if you want to take a screenshot of a perfection balance sheet, it's right there for you. Take the screenshot of that baby, because just to be quite frank with you guys, it doesn't get better than that. That's the creme de la creme. That is the A-plus. That is 100% on the test right there, okay? Now, check this out, okay? Here's the company's big numbers year over year for the company, right? Revenue increased 26%. Gross profit grew 28%, gross profit dollars year over year, and generated $905 million in free cash flow for the company. Now, this is during a transition year. 2023 was a transition year for the company, where they had to get rid of a bunch of employees, it was a messy year overall for the company. They got out of their logistics business. And so to put up those sorts of numbers during a transition year, I can tell you not many companies out there could pull that off. That's pretty flippin' flapjack and amazing during a transition year. Now, Shop Pay is something that has been taken off massively for the company overall. 150 million plus buyers opted into Shop Pay. $127 billion in cumulative gross merchandising volume, GMV, since the launch in 2017. $18 billion of GMV just in this latest quarter, which is very impressive. Now, if you compare it to, let's say, a PayPal, for instance, right, it's not even in the same category as like a PayPal, but it is still a massively fast-growing business for Shopify. It seems like it's growing out very successfully. There's gonna be no time, and they're gonna be at $100 billion plus run rate, GMV, no doubt in my mind, right? And so I think this is also something PayPal investors should look at, like myself, right, as potentially kind of a little bit of a hedge play on PayPal as well, because there's no doubt in my mind that Shop Pay is just going to continue to grow bigger and bigger and bigger over the coming years. And 100 billion, next thing you know, it's going to be hundreds of billions of dollars of GMV for this company, right? Now, they've got AI related to their products that can help in several substantial ways. I don't even really want to go into AI because I feel like AI is such an over-talked about thing in the market. But believe me, Shopify's got many ways they're already integrating AI into their business, and they have many more ways they're going to be integrating AI over the next couple of years here. No, they also have business lines such as Shopify Capital. So let's say you're a business and you need to buy a bunch of inventory, right? Which, if you're in a physical inventory business, you know how difficult that can be. And if you don't plan accordingly, something like you need some capital comes through, right? Or let's say your business is just going, parabolic, and you don't have the cash flow yet to go ahead and invest to keep growing your business as far as your inventory. That's where capital comes in, right? And so Shopify Capital can go ahead and see, okay, this business is roughly doing this. They deserve to get some capital here, right? They also have Shop Cash, which I think is a brilliant way to kind of earn points, very similar to how you would through Starbucks or different things like that, right? And you earn points on a point system or Domino's, and you get a certain free pizza if you order so often, right? And so Shop Cash brings that to small businesses. That these are just things that are so sticky because you couldn't really. It's so hard to try to implement this and do something like this if you have your own small business. If you're Starbucks, you can do your own custom solution to have some sort of rewards program or something like that, right? If you're Domino's, you can pull it off. If you're a small or mid-sized business, good luck. Good luck. That could cost you hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. It's just unrealistic versus being able to just integrate it with Shop for a fraction of the cost. Oh my gosh, it's brilliant, right? They have their Shopify POS, point of sale, which, look at this, okay? They achieved $441 million in offline revenue in 2023. So they're starting to build out substantially in offline revenue. That's 5x their offline revenue since 2019. Very impressive. So think about it. If you're an online business and you also have a storefront, you might be inclined, and I know people personally that I can think of off the top of my head that have online businesses. They get a lot of their traffic through either TikTok or Instagram, and then they run those people over to their Shopify store, but then those same people also have storefronts. And so it makes it very easy for them to just integrate inside their storefronts Shopify POS system rather than another company. It's a whole separate system and things like that. This is where I talk about an ecosystem, like I talked about with a Microsoft or an Apple or somebody like that, right? This is Shopify. They're building a whole ecosystem. I shouldn't say they're building, they've built it. It's built now. And now it's just scaling and scaling and scaling. The hard work's already done for Shopify at this point in time. Look at this, B2B business, business to business, GMV in Q4 was up nearly 150%. You never think about Shopify as a B2B player, right? It's always thought about as B2C, business selling to consumers, but B2B, revenue growing 150%? Ooh. GMV more than doubling in 2023? Okay. So that's another huge opportunity for this company. So what you're finding when you dig into Shopify is there's growth levers all over this company. It's not like just have one thing and that's their only thing. There's so many growth levers to pull. And think about it. If they have all these growth levers today, in February of 2024, how many growth levers is this company going to have 5 years from now? What about 3 years from now? What about 7 years from now? What about 10 years from now, right? Think about that for a moment. Do companies like Shopify just sit around on their hands and like, we're not going to do anything? No. Toby, he's going to keep this company moving super fast, right? Now, check this out. Revenue, $2.1 billion, 24% growth versus Q4 2022, which is very impressive. But if it wasn't for the logistics business they sold off, it would have been 30% growth. So that 24% growth is a little bit, we can call it not reality. The reality is this business would be growing far faster if they still have the logistics business, so which means you're going to likely see a revenue ramp up in this company likely over the next few years. Now, when I go through basically when I take you through my base case with Shopify, you'll see I have a revenue number that's actually pretty lowball compared to this company's going to likely hit back to 30% type growth rates, okay? This is very key here. Subscription services, 31% growth year over year, but the very key thing with this is they put up that number, 31% growth, and they finally have a big price hike coming in February, okay? And I can tell you with a business model like Shopify, how sticky it is, people aren't going to go anywhere. Like if you've got Shopify and they do a price hike of $5, $10, $15 a month on you, you're staying signed up for Shopify. You're not switching. You're staying there. And so keep in mind, this number of 31% could actually see a nice acceleration over this next 12 months. Big, okay? Monthly recurring revenue is up to $149 million. Once again, this number is going to go substantially higher in 2024, not just because they're pulling in more customers, obviously as 2024 rolls along, but also the fact that they're going up on some pricing plans, that's going to help massively for the company. 35% growth versus Q4 2022. Whew. Just wait to see where growth is going from here, folks, okay? Shop Plus penetration, 31% versus 33% for the company, so Shop Plus is still very strong. This is very substantial, right? Because when I think about Shopify, I think about, like, my view on Shopify is this is not just a story of massive revenue growth and it is this, huge company in terms of revenues. It's going to be that company. But my real thought on Shopify is this is going to build into one of the most profitable companies in the world. This is going to build into, over this next 5 to 7 years, a company that has 30% plus net margin. Basically meaning for every dollar that comes in to the company's top line, within 5 to 7 years from now, you're going to see 30 cents of that dollar or more hitting the bottom line, which you are a top tier business when you can do that. And that's exactly where Shopify's headed. They're about to build into an epic cash flow machine and profit machine for this company. $1.1 billion in gross profit, 33% growth versus Q4 2022. margin increase cycle has already started with Shopify. Look at this. They just grew the total company gross margin 49.5%. That was 46% at the same point last year. So they're in a massive margin increase cycle. They've likely head to the 50s and maybe even the 60s here over the next few years, right? 81.5% subscription solutions gross margin. That's insane. That's up from 78.5%. And then if you look at merchant solutions gross margin, 39.2%. That's versus 36.3% in the same quarter last year. So they're in a massive margin increase cycle, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon. It's just going to keep building for quite some time here, folks, okay? There's no stopping that right now, I can tell you that much. Total operating expenses was actually down 22% year over year for the company. That's great. The logistics business, it was something that Shopify had ambitions back when, if we go back to kind of 2020, 2021, that was boom times in the market. That was boom times in terms of just revenue growth at revenue's sake. And so Shopify wanted to build out this logistics business, and they found like it was going to be a huge money suck for many years to go in the future, and they probably weren't going to see results. So they got out of that business, and they said, we're going to stay lean and mean. We've got everything we need here, and we're going to stay an asset-light business model, and it's the best move for Shopify. If I think about asset-heavy, Amazon should do asset-heavy. Amazon's my third biggest position in the public count. They're asset-heavy. I want to see Amazon have logistics. I want to see 1 million Amazon Prime vans running all around the neighborhoods. I want to see Amazon Prime planes taking off in the air. I want to see all that. That's Amazon. Shopify doesn't need to be Amazon. Shopify needs to be asset light. Amazon needs to be asset heavy. They're two different things. They can both be extremely successful. But Amazon's asset heavy, Shopify's asset light. Now, this is incredible because they had that huge drop in operating expenses and they still actually upped their marketing, right? Offset by investments in marketing, which I've seen them doing even, ads on, let's call it sponsorships on Mr. Beast videos, which, he brings in just ridiculous views. It's like 100 million plus views that guy gets. It's just ridiculous, right? And so I've seen them doing some partnerships and brand deals there and just other places in general, right? Free cash flow in this latest quarter, $446 million. Incredible cash flow. And that's, a lot of people would look at a stock like Shopify and they would say, Shopify should be judged more in free cash flow than earnings per share, more than net income, right? I always give preference to net income and EPS, even for a company like Shopify, but keep in mind, the free cash flow number is what a lot of people are going to be looking at over the coming years. No, this free cash flow number hit $446 million in this latest quarter. That's from $90 million in the same quarter last year. So their free cash flow is booming, beyond booming for this company. And so that's we can call it a phenomenal situation for the company for, as long as I can see, because the free cash flow is going to start building into multi-billion dollars a year. Then it's going to build into $5 billion a year in free cash flow, $10 billion, and they're just going to keep, taking it up for the next 10 plus years, right? Now, let me show you my base case for Shopify, and I'll show you my numbers and kind of where I'm expecting the market cap to go and those sorts of things, so you can kind of get a justification of where I'm at with the stock overall. Keep in mind, whenever I think about a stock, I think ultra, bear case. I think about bear case. I think about base case, which we're about to go over. I think bull case, and I think strong bull case. Okay, this is my base case. So this is kind of like, I can see it kind of being that. Nothing like booming like crazy, right? So in my base case, I have the company averaging revenue growth of 22% a year. I think that's probably going to end up being a low number in the end. But I'd rather be a little conservative there than not, right? Because keep in mind, just in this latest quarter, 30% growth if you, X out that logistics business sell off, right? So I've been growing 22% on average a year for the next 5 years. So, we can call it $8.5 billion somewhere around there roughly in 2024. And that would put them at $10.3 billion of revenue in 2025, 2026, about $12.6 billion of revenue, 2027, $15.4 billion of revenue, and then 2028, they're going to, get up to around $19 billion of revenue for this company. Keep in mind, this is not even assuming any big product launches or service launches over that 5-year span, which is certainly possible. They could come out with some game-changing products and services over the time. This is just assuming they keep executing all the things they have in the market right now, okay? That's a big thing to factor in there. Base case assumes Shopify continues to attract new clients and goes up on current clients from time to time. Base case assumes Shopify clients will spend slightly more over the years along with growing e-com TAM, right? The TAM's just always growing stronger and stronger in e-com. And for the great thing for Shopify, they could sign somebody up for a $29 a month plan, and then the business grows, and the next thing you know, they're getting $79 a month. Then the business continues to grow. The next thing you know, they're getting $299. Business continues to grow. Next thing you know, they're getting $2,300 a month, right? And so very similar to how AWS. The beautiful thing about AWS business model, the most beautiful thing, is you can start out as a small client in AWS, and the more success you have, the more you're going to need AWS, and the more money Amazon's going to end up making off you in the end. It's like the most beautiful business model. It's like the definition of selling shovels to people that are mining gold. And so it's the best thing. And so that's exactly what Shopify has built here. It is the ultimate beautiful business model. No, in terms of their net income, I have them doing about $1.4 billion of net income for this company in 2024. And I have them growing that net income about 45% a year. They should be able to they should be able to grow that net income substantially faster than they're growing their revenue over the coming years. So I have them about doubling up their revenue growth, which I think is pretty darn realistic for this company. 45% revenue growth on average over the coming years. Keep in mind, some of these years they're going to be way above 45%. Some of these years it's going to be like 100% plus net income growth. But $1.4 billion net income in 2024, a little over $2 billion in 2025. In 2026, $2.9 billion of net income, $4.2 billion net income in 2027, and then 2028, almost $6.2 billion of net income for this company. So, net income growth assumes inflationary pressures will not hurt the company in future years. Net income growth assumes Shopify will continue to find small cost savings in the business while remaining disciplined with spending. Shopify should be able to grow bottom line at a faster clip than revenue for this 5-year period. Shopify will grow by attracting new customers, upselling current customers, raising prices, running more transactions, and increasing TAM. 100%. Now, when it comes to where this company is trading out at, keep in mind, if you think about Amazon, right? Amazon, basically my entire investing life, I've seen Amazon trade at PE ratios anywhere from 50 to the hundreds. Let's just call it that. Even today, if you look at Amazon's P ratio, tell me what it is. Even Amazon as a more developed company, tell me what Amazon's P ratio is today, okay? Let me know in the comment section. Let me know. And this Amazon as like this big developed company that everybody knows and is already like nearly a $2 trillion company, all these sorts of things, right? So the moral of the story is Shopify is always going to command a ridiculously high PE for the next 10 plus years. You could expect Shopify's PE ratio to be somewhere between 50 and 100. Pretty much year in and year out. If you're ever under that, it's probably because we were in some sort of stock market crash at that particular time. But the PE ratio should always be somewhere 50 to 100, if not to 150, over the coming many years, as Amazon's always been, right? And so when I think about Shopify, I think about a minimum of a 40 PE come 2028, but probably a 50 or above, right? Which I never run my numbers above a 50 because I don't want to assume anything above a 50. So if they're growing at these sorts of rates, they easily will command a 50. You're at over a $300 billion market cap. At a 40p, which is a steal deal with these sorts of growth rates, $247 billion market cap, right? So you can see how exciting of a stock Shopify is. And the fact that this is a company that you can just buy every dip and you don't really have to worry about it. And when the market has corrections and crashes, you can just buy more shares. It's such an easy stock to own. Similar to like a Google, a Meta, an Apple, Microsoft over the past 10 years. Those are just very easy stocks to own. Shopify's in that category. This would put them at about a 32% net income margin, which, like I told you, I expect this company to get eventually to 30% plus net income margins. And I think that's going to happen in probably the next 5 years, to be honest. Okay. Now, in terms of a moat, you always hear Warren Buffett. He always talks about, the moat around the company. If I think about Shopify's moat around this company, the game's all theirs this next 10 years. I mean, I just don't see any serious competitive threat for Shopify out there. Everybody's tried to come out with some sort of wannabe Shopify service and has failed miserably, including my loved Amazon, my third biggest position in the public account. Even they've tried to compete with Shopify, and even they realized, dang, like this is theirs. They've really got this thing under control. And Shopify tried to compete a little bit with Amazon and realized they try to get more into logistics and they realize, dang, Amazon's really got that thing under control. Different companies have different strengths, okay? Amazon can't beat Shopify at what they do. Shopify can't beat Amazon at what they do. And if anything, I've seen these two companies starting to partner more. And I think that's very important because I think these companies, I think Shopify and Amazon are going to look a little bit at each other more of not as competitors, but as like, let's grow this pie together overall. And we know both those companies certainly have no scarcity mentality, right? So competitors just aren't going to be able to get in there anytime soon in this company. And if anything, I think Shopify's moat is growing stronger, not getting weaker, which is beautiful because there's very few companies you could say the moat's getting stronger rather than getting weaker. Every successful new product Shopify launches that their customers end up using, guess what? They just made their business model even stickier. They made the ecosystem even stickier. Every bit more of cash flow this company brings in, which, man, they're starting to bring in some cash flow now. And just these are baby numbers you're watching now. Wait for 3 years, 5 years, 7 years out, and then you're really going to start to see cash flow with this company. But all this cash flow they're bringing out, guess what? They can reinvest that back into the business to grow the business model even stickier, even more successful over time, right? It's a thing of beauty. And so I'm looking at a business model that I could buy every dip in this stock, every dip, and that's just it's so comforting to know there's a stock out there that you can just buy every dip. And okay, crash in the market, big deal. Give me shares for cheap. Correction in the market, who cares? Give me more shares of stock for cheap. It's going a lot higher over the next 5-10 years. That's Shopify. And so this is a brilliant thing overall. People can say, well, what if the economy got harder? Well, I think Shopify's use out there is even higher in a tougher economy because people look around at side hustles, other ways to make money, and they say, oh man, Shopify looks pretty attractive. I can start a business on there and start building that and things like that, right? So I'll be 0% surprised if this is a $1 trillion+ company within 10 years. 0%. That's pretty likely, I would say, that this company is a $1 trillion+ company within 10 years. So it's going to be, an exciting future overall for Shopify, and that covers Shopify. I hope you guys really enjoyed this here today. I appreciate you joining me for this one. I love to talk stocks, and I love a video like this. So if you're looking to support my content, do so on Patreon. That will be the pinned comment down there. You also get to see the moves I'm making in less than 48 hours in there. You get to see the stocks I'm buying and selling each week in there. Plus, you get access to a Discord chat in there. And I do have one with a course attached to it, my Become Master Stock Market course, a tier in there. If you're looking to apply, join myself and my group of super investors. That will be, either the first or second pinned comment down there. You fill out an application, we can see if we can get you in there maybe later this week or something like that. That's access to all my courses, plus the private group Discord chat with 6 and 7, 8-figure members and all that good stuff. Much love and have a great day.